Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations and I am back. This is my mid-year check-in video where I go over my mid-year reading stats as well as do the mid-year elk tag and the mid-year check-in tags. It's all combined in one. Halfway through the year, how's my reading going? So this should be a relatively quick video. Let's jump right in. It's been a pretty good reading year. I'm going to start off with some stats / the mid-year check-in, or some of the questions from mid-year check-in. And the first one is, how many books have you read this year so far? I've read a total of 60 books, which it's been 6 months. 10 books a month is pretty decent. What genre have I read the most from? Storygraph says just romance in general. For a subcategory, I would say contemporary romance, which surprised me, honestly. That's okay. I think I've read contemporary romances that I wasn't expecting to. And quite honestly, this is probably partially in thanks to the Swoon Sisters book club, because romances, and they're usually contemporary ones. The total amount of pages read is 13,448, which is cool. I don't know that I've checked midway through the year before to figure out how many pages I've read, but I don't have anything to compare it to, but that's a nice number. I'm okay with that. I'm not reading a lot of fantasy books, so I know that this is lower than, say, 2020 and 2019. So there's that. Now, the total hours listened, I have this separated, and I use Storygraph, link in the description. So now I know that they have a new feature where you can separate hours listened for audiobooks from the pages read, and that's pretty cool. Now I just have to make sure I mark my editions as audio. But I still have my reading spreadsheet, which is where these numbers come from. I've listened to a total of 86.41 hours. Now, I know that's higher than before, because I've listened to more audiobooks this year, longer ones, and yeah. Like, especially the 6-month period. Maybe in 2020 or 2019, when I was listening to Witcher series and listened to one or two other long fantasy, like 500 plus page fantasy books, maybe. But then I'm not sure if that was in a 6-month period. So I have been listening to lots more nonfiction and loving it. And I think that this trend is going to continue for the latter half of the year. But I think that literature is something that I enjoy more through fiction, through audio, than reading. So, like, the number may increase in the latter half of the year. These stats are purely for me, from my spreadsheet, because why not? I have not checked in on these mid-year. But the formats, since we talked about pages read and hours listened, I've listened to a total of 8 audiobooks. I've read 27 ebooks. and read 25 physical books. Again, pretty damn awesome. And my audience, which I give you stats for every month, I've read a total of 40 adult books, 15 young adult books, 2 new adult books, and 2 middle grade books. So, not a surprise, I'm an adult. I had gotten away from the little bit of YA fantasy that I read in previous years because it wasn't giving. I didn't care. I cared less and less and found myself more annoyed. But contemporary YA, especially literature, is interesting me more and more. So those are the ones I was saying partially that I think I'd be more interested in listening to. So YA still there, but in a non-fantastical way. Though maybe sci-fi too. Anyway, the authors. I read a total of 29 new to me authors, and who am I? I am a person who is participating in 3 book clubs. So every book I read from those book clubs are new to me authors. So I've also read 29 not new to me authors, or 29 books from authors not new to me that I've read before. And as a reminder, this only counts once. The author is only new to me the first time I read a book from them. Every book after that doesn't count as new to me. And the types of books I've read in total so far, I've read 15 standalones. That, again, were thanks to 2 of those book clubs and the contemporary books. 42 series, surprising no one. I love series. And I'm doing some rereads of my favorites or catching up on my favorites. And 5 rereads. Not as many as I would like. I need to increase that because there are at least 3 series that I'm trying to reread this year, and I'm like pecking at them. So ultimately, I would like to be reading 3 rereads a month. So we'll see how that goes at the end of the year. Now on to the more in-depth questions. The superlatives. Best book I've read so far this year in 2022. This was hard. I've had only 3 5-star reads. I didn't want to go into how many of each rating, but only 3 5-star reads. And I checked the 4 and 4.5 star reads because favorite doesn't necessarily mean highest rating. But the 3 5 stars are definitely the top, and I did some mental juggling for a while, and what I wrote down, because it deserves it, is A Dead Gin in Cairo by P. Djeli Clark. This is, oddly enough, a novella. Who am I? Because it's not that I don't like novellas, it's just that I always feel like I'm left wanting, and this book did not do that. So, shock and surprise, but like such a wonderful story. I feel like if I was able to find my copy of the Tramcar, The Haunting of Tramcar 015 by the same author in the same series, the Dead Gin universe, that might have made it into this category, but I couldn't, and I still haven't, and I'm really frustrated by that. Anyway, best sequel so far is Heart Song by TJ Klune. Just first of all, can we talk about how the first 2 best are by male authors. Another thing that's like, it's not that I don't like male authors, it's just like I don't really read that many of them. And but those that I do read are like so good. And Heart Song is book 3, I think, the third full novel in the Green Creek series, which y'all know I just like binged sort of all of the feels. This is one of the other 5-star reads from 2022, and like this being a sequel helped. The other 5-star read is also a sequel, but I just, the emotion that the writing gives, the story, the way this was written, right? Like, not like TJ Klune reinvented the wheel or anything here. It's just that there was a writing device here that had us looking in one direction, and then halfway through the book you realize we should have been looking over here. Or that's not a great way to describe that, but like I appreciated that, and that made a book that I was kind of like meh going into it just shoot up. So next, new release I haven't read yet, that but I want to. So before I say this, the reason why I'm kind of censoring out is because one, it's come to my attention that it's a kind of derogatory word for people who are neurodivergent, and or maybe have psychological issues. And I see that. I see where that term came from. It's old slang and not very nice, to understate it by a lot. The other thing is, what always bothered me about this tag title is that I'm not freaking out halfway through the year about my reading when I do this. And most of the prompts are not like, wow, I need to be worried or rushing or anxious, except for maybe 2. This question and the last one. So the books, the new releases that I haven't read yet, but really want to, is Crawbones by Anne Bishop. And I had been behind on this series, which is The World of the Others, and I've caught up, read the last 2 books, and now the new one came out a couple of months ago, and I'm ready to read it. I've been ready. I love the previous 2 books, and I'm ready to see what the next one has in store. Anne Bishop is one of my favorite authors, and I just get sucked into her world so easily, even though in this one in particular, The World of the Others is so odd. So, X, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I've got 2. The first one is Archangels Resurrection by Nalini Singh, the latest in the Guild Hunter series by this author, another fave author of mine, and I'm caught up on this, so I don't know what this one is going to be about. I've seen the new cover, but I haven't seen a blurb or a synopsis or anything, but I'm hoping it's a continuation of the previous book, so we see more of that relationship now going towards the future. The other book is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. This will be book 4, and I believe the final book in the Mistborn Era 2 series, and I quite enjoyed that. I'm curious to see what comes next. And Brandon Sanderson is another fave author of mine. And yeah, I'm curious to see how that world is developed. Alright, next. My biggest disappointment so far. This is always a juggle, right? What books disappointed you the most? And Flock by Kate Stewart. I didn't have too much anticipation for this book. This was a pick from the Swoon Sisters book club, and actually bought it, which is part of the issue with my disappointment. I paid money for this, and this is what you gave me. This was supposed to be a kind of it's a contemporary romance, a Robin Hood retelling, and the steam was there, the chemistry was there. I didn't know what the hell was going on most of the time. Neither did the main character, so I was okay with it. But I was like, where is the Robin Hood retelling? And then you have to read the next book for any of the plot to make sense, for, you to solve the mystery and all of that stuff. And I was like, what? I need something to wrap up here. Like, a mystery character was introduced literally in the last few pages. And I'm just like, but what? What is this? I don't even understand the title. Like, it was really frustrating, and I think that's the book I just, like, if I had it physically, I probably would have threw it across the room. Let's just put it at that. People have said the next book is so great and even better and blah, 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 and I'm just like, nah. These two guys really gaslit this girl over and over, and, like, they have their reasonings or whatever, and I was kind of okay with it. To be perfectly honest, I do read taboo and questionable things quite often. So there were so many frustrating moments, and even though I enjoyed it, and it just, yeah. So, biggest surprise, this was also one I had to juggle to figure out which one I should put in here. But I put Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. This fits best because, one, I wasn't expecting to love this. This was the group pick for Blackathon Sci-Fi and Fantasy team. So thank you to Starla and Joyce, who is not posting new videos now, but they are, their channel is still there, I believe. Thank them for picking this, because, wow, this is so outside of anything I ever read. I was fascinated. The relationships, the world, the people, and then how they solved the issues that were brought up in the plot, especially towards the end, really surprised me. So and the writing, oh my god. I was not prepared. I don't think anyone was. Definitely want to read the sequel, which I think came out this year. So I probably won't be reading it this year, but it will happen. My fave new author, debut or new to me. I don't really read too many debut authors. So new to me, I had to put P. Jelly Clark. I read one of his books last year and enjoyed it, which is why I put him on the list of authors I want to read more of. And I have not been disappointed so far, and just let's go. You are one of two authors that make me like novellas. So automatically. Newest fictional crush is the next one. I don't have one, so moving on. Newest fave character. I really have to think about this. And Jalisa from Hover Girls. Hover Girls is a web comic by GDB, an artist that I really love, that I wanted to read her web comic for the longest. I read it on Webtoon and on her website. I love the artwork. The story is cute. It's not like super in-depth or whatever, but it's like magical girls with a little sci-fi alien stuff happening. But oh my god, Jalisa, an icon, an unbothered queen. Her bitter balances out Kim's sweet, and I love her. The straight man in the comedy is kind of what I think of Jalisa as, to an extent. And she is a little ridiculous too. Just everything about her. She was badass and cute, supportive without like really wanting to be. Homegirl just wanted to watch her telenovelas and eat and be left alone. But this story would not let her, and that's fine. The two other characters that I was considering for this both have elements of Jalisa that I liked. What I liked about Jalisa, like Miss Slaughter from Something Is Killing the Children, badass, cool. For example, and I just read that recently. But yeah, Jalisa, that's my girl. Book that made me cry. So I could name the entire Green Creek series, but I decided to go with something different. That is Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones. This was a non-fiction book that I read as part of the Not a Book Club. And where we're reading various non-fiction books. This is like a memoir slash biography of Faith Jones' life growing up in a religious cult. And the beginning has some history of the cult from before she was born, like how it was created and things like that. And then the bulk of it is her life story up until the point of writing the book. Obviously, wow. It was very poignant and moving, and I learned a lot. So it's the realization as an adult of all the things that she went through growing up that were wrong, not good, bad, abusive, that really hit hard. There are trigger warnings and content warnings. I urge you to look them up. Big ones like gaslighting, manipulation, abuse, child abuse, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, and suicide ideation, thoughts about suicide, and their discussion of someone who did commit suicide. On the other side, a book that made me happy. The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. So Claire Kahn is, I was going to say, a favorite author of mine, even though I've only read 2 of her books. Not that she has a bazillion, but I just always love the main characters. They are people that you want to know, that you want to be friends with or be. In this particular case, Joy is just a joy. Perfect name. Perfectly named. And you know, identify so much with the character. You just kind of wish that you could be them to an extent, because I don't want to be in love with Malcolm my whole life. Moving on, a most beautiful book that I bought so far this year. I think I've accidentally skipped this question in previous years. I don't buy very many books. I'm not going to talk about the few that I bought. But I will talk about the most beautiful book that I got to read. Most of the books that I read are from the library that I got, not purchased, but received from elsewhere. And that is Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin, the artwork by Jamal Campbell, and others. So just look at it. This is a comic book series, I believe 10 issues. I read the bind up of all 10, and the one thing I can say is that the artwork was top tier. Everybody was gorgeous yet realistic. There are alien species and they're still gorgeous and realistic somehow. And just mind blown. Beautiful, beautiful. Like, I want to purchase this because it's that gorgeous. Please. The last question. What books do I need to read by the end of the year? So, I'm going to start with 3 specific titles and then get into the book club picks. The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, I actually have, it's not here in the room, but I want to finish this trilogy. I hope to finish in July. Harbor by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This is another series. This is the last book of, and I would like to finish this, especially since I didn't know this, but I found out last month that this is a polyamorous relationship. That's new from the others. And yeah, I would like to finish the Dead Gin Universe series, The Haunting of Tramcar 015, and I forget the last book, but both by P. Jelly Clark. I want to finish this series. Alright, the other books that I need to read. My 12 challenge books, the 12 months to read 12 books recommended by 12 friends. And I've read 2. I've read 2, I started a 3rd, and I'm not liking the 3rd. So that might take me all year to read. But I was gonna just DNF and forget it, but it's one by a friend. Like, I feel like I can't DNF any of these. I have a 4th one here. And yeah. So, Clara and the Sun, Braiding Sweetgrass, Atomic Habits, Rain of Gold, Rosemary and Rue, Heaven Official's Blessing Volume 2, Calixta, A House of Spirits, House of Sky and Breath, that's the one I'm struggling through, 1,000 Autumns, and Normal People. Normal People might be an extra, but we shall see. I gave myself this challenge to read these 12 books. So this is the first year where I actually need to read them. Those are the books I need to read this year. And usually it's a much shorter list because I'm like, I don't need to read anything. But I really, really, really want to read these, and I committed to challenging myself to read them, and so I shall. There are some backlist series that I'm rereading that I also really, really want to read, but I'm not going to go into all of those. So yes, guys, how has your reading been going so far in 2022? What is your best book so far? What series or books do you need to read before the end of the year? And let me know down in the comments below. Of course, if you want to support my channel, leave me a book emoji if you made it this far. It will help me grow. Share the video with your friends on social media accounts. Again, will help me grow. like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming, I should say. The next one should be my mid-July wrap-up, and I hope to have good things to say. It's going good so far. Down in my description box, links to all of my social media if you'd like to follow me anywhere else, including my Storygraph and Goodreads accounts, so we could be friends on those if you want. As there is also a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop where I make bath and body products for pagan and mundane self-care purposes. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.